So hello everyone, I think now we can start, and anyway, as you saw, we are recording this webinar, so it will be available for everyone, also for those who joined later. So first of all, thank you all for being here. I'm Valeria Fantini, I'm a project manager in ALDA, and I also coordinate the Hub Environment and Climate, and I manage the granting scheme alongside with my colleague Giulia Albertoni, who is the financial manager for the program. And today she's here with me again to explain to you and to share with you some key elements of the call, especially from the financial point of view. So as you know, we are very happy to launch this call, and I will give you an overview on what is it about, just to guide you in the process of presenting your proposal. So as for the table of content, some of you may be already familiar with this type of calls, but just to let you know, we will discuss the call, the thematic focus, which is very important, the eligibility and ineligibilities, both of organizations and activities, the target group of your actions, the grant, so how much you can receive, how the evaluation, so again, to guarantee transparency on the evaluation, we will let you know how we evaluate your proposal. And then, of course, a part of financial management and Q&A. Just to let you know that if you have already questions, please do not hesitate to write them in the Q&A section at the bottom of the screen, and then we are going to read them together. Also, I will share with you, it's already in the call, but we are going to share with you again the dedicated email address that you can address all your questions and concerns to. So first of all, as last year, this call for a proposal is thought under the umbrella, is managed under the umbrella of the SERVE program of the European Union, which again seeks to support and develop open rights-based democratic, equal, inclusive societies based on the rule of law. In fact, you will see that for our call, again, these values and rights are very important. Of course, in this context, ALDA aims at strengthening this global alliance of civil society actors and regional authorities working together in local communities in order to make them more resilient, social and economically successful, more inclusive, sustainable, and fair. And this is also important for how we manage our operating grant, under which, again, that foresees the call for proposal and the granting. In this call for proposal, we aim to fund 10 or 11 initiatives, more or less. We will, as you will see, the selection committee will decide based on the proposal received, the number of the funding required, how many exactly initiatives they will be funded, but we aim to fund between 10 and 11 initiatives. The timeline, how does this work? So the call is now open, as you know, and the proposal must be submitted in English, please, by the 5th of May 2024 at 23:59 Central European Time, filling the online application form. We will not accept any proposal that does not follow this requirement. So if it's not written in English, or if it doesn't come by that date, or if it's not made with the online application form. So please keep this in mind. Then there will be the evaluation, first both of the eligibility of the actual proposal and then also about the content. And this evaluation will be done by a selection committee, so that your proposal can be evaluated by more than one person, and we can evaluate them in the best way possible. And on the 10th, you will have your results. Then, of course, there is the period of implementation between the 10th of May with the signature of the partnership agreement between you and ALDA, and the 22nd of October. Of course, the activities that you implement that we will consider for your project, also from a financial point of view, we will see it afterwards with Giulia, are the ones that will happen in the period of the partnership agreement, meaning between the 10th of May and the 22nd of October. And then there will be the reporting phase. What is the thematic focus? This is very important because, again, this call, again, in line with the objectives of the SERV program, seeks to support initiatives that promote both a sense of belonging to the European Union in the year of the European election, but also to, again, cultivate a sense of local ownership and engagement within your local communities. So the thematic focus of the granted action should have a clear link to the 2024 EU elections and the ALDA's thematic hubs. What are we talking about? So we'll see. So what are the key elements of the proposed activities? Again, as I said, the EU elections are very important, of course. So as I said before, this proposal should focus on these initiatives that cultivate the sense of belonging to the EU, but also willingness to participate and to be active citizenship, also in regards to the European elections. So the action should aim, or again, either to encourage people to be informed and participate, but also you can foresee a follow-up with specific actions after the vote. And of course, it's very important that you keep in mind this, again, priority of EU rights and value. So again, to enhance the capacity of communities and citizens to know and promote rights and values. And this, please keep in mind, because there will be also, we will see specific questions in the application, that values, for example, of non-discrimination, equality, and this type of, non-discrimination and equality must be mainstreamed in all funded actions. Again, very important, in connection with the priority that I just mentioned to you, you should connect your activity to ALDA's thematic hubs. What do you mean? You have to choose one hub? Not necessarily. As you see this, you will see these priorities do not work in silos. So, for example, in the application, you will be able to choose up to 3 thematic hubs. But of course, your proposal will have to be strongly connected. As you know, with ALDA, we are working also on specific themes. So putting our mission and our core objectives and our value for specific themes. As you know, we have the hub environment and climate, citizens engagement, digital and innovation, gender inclusion and human rights, migration, youth empowerment and education, and territorial and local development. And I'm telling you, this will be very important for the evaluation of your proposal, how well you can connect your activities to our thematic hubs. Specifically, as you saw from the proposal, each thematic hub and each thematic hub coordinator has foreseen some specific key elements of each theme. So, for example, for the hub environment and climate, we have inclusive and just transition, climate change adaptation and mitigation strategies in urban and rural areas, green skills and environmental education, protecting environmental rights and ensuring environmental justice, circular economies and cities, and some key elements such as energy, food system, nexus between gender and environment, and nature-based solutions. As for I'm telling you very fast, but please, if you go to our call for proposal, you will have the link to the thematic hub, to the website of ALDA, in which every thematic hub is listed. And I invite you to really go check which projects are connected, so that you can connect your project to the thematic hub in the best way possible. So then we have for citizen engagement, local and citizens participation and decentralized cooperation, civic role and contribution in the most relevant environmental and societal challenges, global democracy, research, innovative forms of participation, sustainable, inclusive, and accessible participatory processes and citizens' representation, skepticism, trust building, policymakers, and CSOs' capacity building. I see that there are already some raised hands. Please, I invite you to use the question and answer tool that you have at the bottom of your screen. So we will answer all your questions in the dedicated time at the end. Thank you very much. Then we have the Hub for Digital and Innovation, and in this case, again, the specific priorities are digital skills and digital education, accessibility, with a focus on those citizens with fewer opportunities, youth digital future, so engaging young people in a new and innovative way, in taking benefit from the digital transition, digital and active citizenship, and enhancing digitalization in general, also to involve local communities with their local governments. We have gender inclusion and human rights, so the specific priorities are hate speech and hate crime, and fighting, of course, hate speech and hate crime, disability, inclusion of minorities, social inclusion, promoting gender equality, and again, this nexus between gender and climate. Then we have the Hub for Migration. So in this case, some priorities are labor inclusion of migrants, storytelling activities, and participatory processes of people with a migratory background in democratic processes. Then we have the Hub for Youth Empowerment and Education. So we deal here in this case with social inclusion of young people, youth and twin transformation, youth participation and active engagement of young citizens in local communities and in decision-making process. Then we have the Hub for Territorial and Local Development with innovative and endogenous responses from local and regional governments and communities, involvement of communities in decision-making processes, decentralized and multi-stakeholder partnership to stimulate a sustainable and economic growth and enhance living standards in the involved territories. So I know I was very fast in this, but again, you have all these written in your call. If you have further questions or some specific themes, you can write to the regranting email, and we will contact the thematic hub coordinators in order to give you a bit more info. But again, here you have the priorities, and on our website, as I said, you have a specific page for every thematic hub. So really try to connect it, and you can choose up to 3. In fact, this is what you will see in the application form. By the way, note that you also have in our webpage an overview of the application form. The application form is done by Google Form, but you are able to see before what we will ask so that you can prepare before, of course. And as you can see, the key we will put a lot of focus on the key elements of the proposed activities. You can choose up to 3 ALDA hubs, again, because we know that these teams do not work in silos, and often they are interlinked. Then, of course, mention afterwards also the key priorities that we just saw that you would like to focus on. They can be more than one, of course, but just again, go deep, dive deep into the theme. And of course, in this part, better explain how your action is connected to the other key elements. This means EU elections and EU rights and values. Eligibility. So who of the ALDA member can be eligible for this call? So first of all, you have to be a legal entity and private not-for-profit organization. So unfortunately, this year, we cannot open the call to public bodies, local authorities, and so forth. So because it's only targeting private bodies. You have to be established in a member state of the EU. You have to be, of course, an ALDA member. And when, so how do we consider you an ALDA member for this call? You have to be an ALDA member by the time this call was published. Then you have, sorry, of course, we respect EU values. Be directly responsible for the preparation and management of the action, not acting as an intermediary. This cannot become a regranting of a regranting. And of course, commit to ALDA's gender equality and anti-discrimination policy. As you know, now it is necessary for members to sign this statement that you agree with our policy. So it is very important that you are committed to this. And if you have not signed this yet, you will be asked to sign this before the start of the implementation of your activity. What are the eligible activities? So, sorry, one second. Okay, sorry. What are the eligible activities? So be mindful that this is a fixed list. So you have to pick one of these activities. So we have awareness raising activities, exchange of good practices, sorry, creative and cultural actions, initiatives with schools and universities, then participatory activities, sorry, I wrote it twice, but participatory activities that increase the involvement of citizens and civil society organizations in policy and decision-making processes with local and regional and national governments, and promotion and dissemination activities. You have examples here, again, to inspire you to understand which kind of activities you can implement. What is not eligible? So of course there are some activities. I told you that before, let's say, evaluating your proposal for the content, we will do an eligibility check. And unfortunately, if either the activity or the person an organization asking for the grant is not eligible, we will not proceed to the evaluation of the content. So for example, what is not eligible? Action concerned only or mainly with individual sponsorship for participation in workshop, etc. Action supporting political parties, action concerned only or mainly with individual scholarship for studies or training courses. Action that consist mainly of research and study or primarily in capital expenditure. Action intended to raise funds or promote the visibility of the applicant or its partner. Of course, action that discriminate. Action that consist mainly of research or of study, action that include proselytism and core funding of the applicant or, when relevant, its partner. So you see that some of these are not eligible, and we will not consider your whole project eligible if you have this type of activities. Who is the target group of your action? You can choose one or more of these targets, and be mindful that, again, in the application, you will be asked to truly show that you have in mind your target. So to focus on this target, to identify them in a way that is clear. So citizens and the local communities, young people between 15 and 29 years old, and vulnerable groups. So you can, again, choose among these as your target group. Then, as for the grant, how much can you get from your proposal? We have three groups. So first of all, this year, the sub-granting scheme will cover 100% of the total project budget. So this year, there won't be a co-funding required. Then we will have three groups of funding. One, which maximum funding is of 10,000 euros. The second one, which maximum funding is 15,000 euros. And the third group, which maximum funding is 20,000 euros. Just notice that, again, we put, like, for each group we would like to choose between 2 and 5 projects, but who will decide the number of beneficiary? Again, the selection committee during the evaluation phase, depending, of course, on the type of proposal submitted. So, of course, if we receive, for example, all projects that require 20,000 euros, we will according to the selection committee, the selection committee can decide to either fund less proposal with the whole amount, or depending on the on the points received, the selection committee could also decide to fund some with the whole budget of 20,000, but others with a smaller budget, in order to have, again, these 10 to 11 projects funded. So just to let you know, again, this is our idea. Of course, the selection committee then will decide how many projects to fund exactly for each proposal, also based on the points received and the quality of the proposal. How will the evaluation go? Again, this is just to help you in the writing process. So the selection committee will evaluate mainly 3 factors: the relevance of the action, the quality of the project design and implementation, and the impact. As for the relevance of the action, you will see we will give from 1 to 7 points if the project proposal is relevant to the objective and addresses at least one of the key priorities of the actions. Of course, as you saw, the priorities are interlinked, so it's better if you address all of the priorities. So, one up to 3 thematic hubs, the election and new rights and values, because they will depend also on the points that you will receive. Then the experience that you have, and how well you identify the target groups. Something that I want to mention is that to be, please, very clear in the application form. As you will see, these points, this evaluation grid will be very clear also in the application form. So please be clear, because the selection committee will not vote on things that are not clear in the proposal. So for example, as for your experience, if you have experience on the topic, for example, mention clearly that you have and for how many years you've worked on that topic and why, for example. Because as you see, also the years that you've worked, that of your experience in that, can differ how we evaluate your proposal. But the selection committee doesn't know, cannot know things that are not written. So please be I'm telling you because sometimes we give some things for granted. So for example, you have an amazing association and on the first page of your website, you have written, active on environment and on energy efficiency for 20 years. That's great. But if it's not written in the project proposal, we cannot evaluate it for that. So please be very mindful with this. Then we evaluated the quality of the proposal. So again, the objectives of how defined are the objectives, the methodology, the activities. It's going to be very important, as I said before, if these activities are designed in a way that is accessible and inclusive. If, again, there is a point of innovation, so you incorporate digital tools and methods, or if you design your activities in an eco-friendly way. So be mindful also of this. Again, as I said before, there is also a specific section on this, again, innovation of your action. Please write it openly, because otherwise the selection committee cannot give you an evaluation for that. Impact, of course, we will evaluate your impact. So again, how integrated is your proposal in the work you do in the organization? Is it coherent with what you do and what you will do? How well can this project impact your target and the community around you? How will you monitor and evaluate how the project is going? Do you have an idea or not? Or also, how well do you communicate your projects? How do you share your results? As you know, for example, in this type of projects, it's very important to always acknowledge the European Union funding, but in that case, we will give all the guidelines of it. But I mean, for now, how well do you think how well do you propose a communication plan, for example? What kind of dissemination tools? Are they coherent with your target and so forth? So of course, the clearer it is, the more specific it is, the higher will be your evaluation. There are some additional points as well. So for example, again, the applicant foresees cooperation with other local key actors. For example, we evaluate very positively if you cooperate on your territory, but not necessary. But if you show like your interest to cooperate, okay, with other key actors, this will be evaluated very positively, but also with thematic hubs. So this is an additional, so it's an added value. If you not only like clearly identify the topic and the thematic hubs, but maybe you also propose already in the application, for example, some specific activities you would like to do with the thematic hubs. Or for example, as I told you before, you went on ALDA website from the link of the call, you check the hub, there are the projects of the hub, and you say, For example, we think this could work, this could be in line of this project. So you do an added effort to collaborate well with our thematic hubs, then this will be also very favorably seen. Then you foresee the participation and the implementation of a potential side initiatives during our General Assembly and Festival between the 13th and the 15th of May in Barcelona. So this will be, again, positively evaluated, and you have to mention it, of course, but there is a specific section for this. And again, in line with the values of the SERV and the values of ALDA, you agree to adopt an internal policy by the end of the project that foresees gender equalities and anti-discrimination guidelines to be implemented within the organization. Of course, you can take inspiration from ALDA's policy. So again, these are additional points that can be given to your proposal if you implement clearly and you show clearly that you have this intention. Be inspired. I will leave you here just quickly for you to scan it. This is the link to our 2023 sub-grantees. I know that some of them are here. They did a great work. We are very happy with them. So if you want to be inspired, please check them out, because again, we think some things are different this year, but we think they did really a great work. Now we have a Q&A, but before dedicating the space to a Q&A, I will pass the mic to my colleague Giulia Albertoni, who will just briefly discuss with you the financial part of this, which we know can be delicate. So please, Giulia, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Valeria, and good morning, everybody. So Valeria already anticipated you all the details about the grants and the funding that will be provided through this granting scheme. I just want to briefly report it to you the lines, the kind of expenses that can be covered through this scheme, which are the coordination costs, so basically the staff cost. Then there are the travels and accommodation linked to the activities that you could implement within your project. So could be local activities, so local travels, or could also be some international activities linked to the to different activities, or to your participation to the General Assembly. And then there could be some equipment hire or rental, or venue hire and rental for your activities. Again, the materials that could be developed through your projects, any kind of visibility and communication activities that you could implement. Could be the social media management, the sponsorship or some posts on social media, or some specific, maybe also production of flyers and podcasts that could be a possibility within your project. And any kind of other lines that could be a consultant or some expert involved in your activities, some speaker if you have some conferences or training, and this kind of similar connected expenses. Then, of course, you could also report the VAT cost if you're not if you cannot recover with. Like, it depends on the national law and on the kind of organization that you are. If you're not able to recover it, and if the VAT is a cost for you, you could also report it and could also be covered within this project. Then I know that could be, maybe that could be of some specific question, but then for the organization that will be awarded with this grant, we'll have a specific session on the financial topics, on how to connect, how to report all of this. I don't want to go like more in deep on this, but if there are any specific question, I'm here with Valeria to answer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Giulia. So I see there are already some questions. So first of all, I want to just show you, because maybe for some of you, you didn't have it clear, but just to show you. Okay. This is the page on the ALDA's website. I will put the link again of the call for proposals. This is a summary of it, but of course here you have all the useful materials, meaning that here you have the whole text of the call that I invite you to read very carefully. Then you have the form for sending the application. So I see there is a question of the length. I will show you. There is a Google form and you will send your application through here. Then there is the 2 annexes that you will have to upload that need to be signed by the legal representative of your organization. So I'm telling you this just to organize yourself also with timing, because we will ask that these 2 are filled and signed by the legal representative. But we also have an overview of the form. Since on Google Form you cannot see immediately all the questions, we also share with you this overview that is just has wait just a second, sorry. Can you see it now that I changed? Okay. So this is the overview of the form. Okay. So this serves you, I mean, you don't have to file on this PDF. You will file through the Google form when there is written link to the for the application. This is just for you to have an overview before, so that you can already prepare your answers before filling the form. Okay. So as you can see, we have some specific questions about you, the description. So for example, here, as I told you before, you write how many years of experience you had, who you are, and so forth. Then again, there is this mandatory eligibility criteria that we saw before, the grant you choose. Then again, relevance and quality. So you see that all of them are connected to the evaluation. So again, be mindful of this. But as you can see, this is the, we gave you some character limits, to respect for the description of your actions. So please follow that. But again, if you go on this file, you can see exactly how much we ask for each part, so that you can again organize yourself to write this proposal. So I know that somebody was asking, just to show you again what we mean and how much is asked of you to write. Then let me see. Sorry. Okay. Okay, so then we have, I will go back. Should we address both the upcoming EU election and between 1 and 3 thematic hubs in the project proposal? And I see there are others questions about this. Should the proposal be linked with all the thematic focus, or could it be linked to only one of them? So you saw that in the application form, we asked to identify the hub or the hubs and specify which thematic element, like thematic key priority you are focusing on the most. Of course, since, as I said, these 3 thematic focus are very underlinked, because EU rights and values, EU elections, and one of the priorities of the hub, or the hubs in general, are very interconnected. So we would strongly suggest to focus on all, manage your action, describe your actions under taking into account all these priorities. Then you can focus mostly on one, but again, we strongly suggest to focus on all these priorities and to mention all these priorities and to very clearly describe the thematic hub or hubs, because you can choose up to 3, that your action is designed in. I don't know if this was clear enough. What about projects post-EP elections? How do you see them linked with the elections? As we said before, you can also implement projects afterwards, again, I mean, I cannot tell you what to do on this exactly, but you can foresee also actions that tackle this election after they're happened, you know. So ideally, it would be like maybe both before and after, but since, I mean, we are aware also of the time constraints of these calls for proposals, that you don't have so much time before the elections. So of course, you can also foresee some activities afterwards to see again the consequences of the elections, for example, or to implement again these consequences of these elections in your activities. So you can tackle them from both the perspectives, either before to encourage people to vote, to be active citizens, and so forth, but also afterwards to, for example, discuss together on what happened and what we can expect in the future. These are just examples. So you just take, like, again, the activities, the key elements, and you can do something also afterwards. Okay. Okay. What if you have all three demographics? Great for you, meaning that, as we said, it's not mandatory to choose one. You can, I mean, on this, at the end, it will depend on the quality of your proposal, meaning that either you have you focus on one of the targets or all three. It both can be good, but of course we will judge what the selection committee will evaluate, sorry, more than judge, evaluate, is the quality of the proposal. So for example, you can either pick one target, two targets, all three targets, but what matters is that you show that you have a clear idea of who they are, what are their needs, that it is coherent, for example, what you are planning to organize with your target audience. So it's not necessary to have either just one or all three, but it's necessary, like, what is important is for you to really show that you know them, that the activity can have an impact on them, you know. Then again, I saw the size of the proposal. There is a limit. Perfect. I showed you before and you have it also in the page of ALDA regarding the granting scheme. So you can really study it and organize your answers, let's say, and write them in draft before actually filling the Google form. Then I see that it would be great if you could send us this information by email. This webinar will be recorded and also shared in the page of ALDA's website dedicated to the call. So do not worry. And if you have some question, I will show you afterwards to which email send your question. So everything you will find in this page of ALDA that I will share maybe again with you here. So in fact, Christina, I understand what you say about the inclusion of the topic of European elections. It is true the timing is not ideal because, I mean, we start the project in May and the European election are in June. But as I said before, you can tackle this also from another perspectives also afterwards. So maybe you can start some activity before, but then do the most afterwards. I mean, this will depend on the type of activities you choose, the type of themes you choose. But we are aware of the timing, so I mean, we can accept also proposed activities that happen afterwards. Ideally, though, there will be some connections anyway. Sorry if I'm talking too fast. If there is something else that is not clear, just ask again, and I will try to be slower. We have an anonymous that asks if we can include activities as part of a bigger event, or yes. You can include your project as part of a bigger event, either organized by you or by another organization. That's fine. What is important, and in this I ask also the support of Julia, my colleague, is that your activities are clearly identified under this project, both financially and narratively. So, for example, if you have a huge festival on your territory on the nexus between gender and climate, there is a 3 days event, for example, and you have your activity, your workshop, for example, as in the first morning, this can happen. And we also, I mean, we appreciate that because you create connections. But of course, your expenses, your narrative documents and so forth needs to be clearly identified as part of this. And you cannot do a double funding. So your activity cannot be funded by 2 European projects at the same time. This is very important. And I don't know, Giulia, if you want to add something on this.
Yes, thank you, Valeria. Well, of course, the no double funding is a rule that all the European programs are very strong about. I just wanted to add also, we really appreciate the connection between different activities and organization, but please also try to like not to be limited to that only that like bigger events, but also try to connect and to develop additional activities and additional event, because that will be, of course, give you some more additional point in the evaluation, because for sure, in this case, the proposal and the project will be stronger and also linked to the other kind of activities. Then I wanted to add something about the financial, but maybe after we answer all the other, if there are other questions.
Thank you very much, Giulia. And as for Laura's question, can we apply with 2 different projects? No. We will accept as a direct applicant, okay? You can apply only with one project. So we will consider the last one we receive as the one to evaluate. So keep this in mind. So as a direct applicant, you can apply to just one project. I don't know if I answered your question, if something is still unclear. Okay, so in this case, okay, perfect. Maybe Giulia, you want to add something on the financial part? Thank you.
Yes, I just wanted to add, because maybe it's something important to know. When you develop your budget the budget for your proposal, please consider that of course we have this maximum grant, so 10,000 euros, 15,000 euros, 20,000 euros. But please consider that we need to have the real cost also in mind. So for sure, if you propose, for instance, just to make an example, that could be a possibility in some case. That was a reality. If you propose a project up to 15 euros, but at the end you're going to spend 11,000 euros, 15,000, of course, sorry, euros, and then you're going to spend 11,000 euros. That's still an important thing to know and to understand since the very beginning of the project, because in that case, this could lead maybe to one proposal funded less. So one less proposal funded through the scheme, and then we could have some saving that maybe could allow us to finance also that proposal. And for sure, this is also something that you need to understand, to keep in mind, not only the development of the budget, but also then when you have the reporting phase. And then other things linked to this is that the total amount for sure it could be up to 10,000 euros or to 15,000 euros or to 20,000 euros, but it could also be considering the real cost be in an amount in between this range. In the proposal, you're gonna put the total amount as foreseen, because you know the granting as in this way you're gonna put the grant closer to the one that you're gonna put in the Excel file. Just wanted to add this.
Thank you very much, Giulia. I see we have another question asking if a regional organization partnership can be suggested. So I'm not sure I completely understand what you mean, but I would say that yes, we always encourage partnership. We think that it's a great way also to show your impact on the territory. So, of course, this is always encouraged. Of course, keep always in mind that there will be just one organization who will be directly responsible for the funding, and that will have the direct relationship with us, and that will sign the partnership agreement with us. So, for example, if you create a collaboration on your territory with the association XYZ, that is great, but also in the budget, this does not have to show as a regranting of a regranting, meaning that if you, for example, in your budget foresee that to move basically all your budget, 90%, 80% of your budget to another organization for the implementation of your activities, then that risks to be ineligible, because we can think that it's a regrant of a regrant. So be mindful of this. But of course, apart from this risk, we are very happy to see cooperation on the territories or potential cooperations with other ALDA members, or again on your territory. So thank you. What are the eligible budget categories? I can share also, if you give me a second. I don't know, Julia, if you want to start, but I can share the.
Yes, I can see the categories. So basically, we have the human resources, so staff costs, travel, accommodation and meals, equipment or venue rental and hire, the materials, visibility and communication activities, expert consultants, and any other kind of like linked expenses to this, and the VAT if you're not if you cannot recover the VAT and the VAT is a cost for you, you can also consider it within the budget, and it could be covered by the fund.
Yes, and as you see, you have this part also in our call for proposal very clearly stated and identified, as you can see. But thank you, Julia. Interrupt the sharing. Let me see if we have other questions. Okay, so okay, I think we don't have any other questions. I don't know if somebody has other questions. Anyway, I shared with you in the chat the link, but I will also share with you this. Just give me a second. So here you can find, again, so first of all, thank you for being here. We are very happy to see so much participation. Here you have, again, our link to the link for the web page on ALDA's website, where you can see all these informations. And also the QR code to go directly there. So now you can scan it, but also the email to which you can address all your questions in case you have any. Please be a bit patient, because we are receiving a lot of questions, so have a bit of patience, please. But we will get back to you as soon as possible. Also, again, as a general advice, we advise you again to start really checking everything, and to not wait for the last minute to upload your proposal. First of all, because maybe, you know, there could be some server issues if there are a lot of people uploading their proposal, but also for you, because, you know, there are always maybe things that you realize at the last minute that you're missing. So we truly encourage you to not wait for the last minute to upload your proposal. I don't know if you have any further questions. Let me see. We recorded this webinar, and we will also share the slides. And as Julia said before, with the winners of this subgrant, we will also do some specific trainings on narrative and financial reporting. So we will not, I mean, we know that that is a very can be a very complicated part, but we will not leave you alone on this. Okay, so thank you again. And I think unless there are other questions, we can stop here. Okay, so thank you all. And we are looking forward to read your proposals. And of course, please do not hesitate to get in touch with us if you have any further questions. Thank you so much and have a nice day. Or wait, I see another question. Oh, thank you. Perfect. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you.